What's up, everybody? We are back for another review. Today we are talking about the new Battlefield 6 Battle Royale called RedSec. Before we get into it, sorry for all the extra mess behind me. Parents are in town, so fiance gets kicked out of the guest room, which is her office when nobody's here. So just ignore that mess behind me. But anyways, we are talking about the new Battle Royale RedSec. Today of filming it is the third day of it technically. And I haven't played it yet today, and I'm at like 18 or 19 hours. I'll give it a score at the end, like I always do, but I'm absolutely loving it. It is a fun change-up. If you like Warzone, it is a fun change-up from Warzone. But we are going to go through our usual cons, so-sos, and pros, and then at the end, I will wrap up my final thoughts and give a score. And as usual, there is no necessary, there's not necessarily an order or an organization. These are just as I wrote them down. So, first con is there is no, ring or circle or zone info, whatever you want to call it. You know, in, Fortnite, Apex, and Warzone, it shows you what circle you're in, how long that circle is left, how long, then it starts closing, shows how long until it closes, and then the next circle repeats the process. There is none of that, and the reason that's important is you can time things, like the custom weapons drop in this game. There's a certain time when it drops. I don't know when that is. I mean, I could set a timer and then just remember that, but it'd be nice to know. Like in Warzone, circle 1 closing, 15 seconds left-ish is when loadout drops, right? So stuff like that is nice to know. And there's no information on that. Plus, just how long you have, you can start to learn to time out the ring pace and everything. The next is enemy footsteps. There is almost absolutely no enemy footstep audio. You can hear your footsteps, you can hear your teammate footsteps, but you will die a lot until they fix this or to enemies that you don't know are there, because there's just almost never any enemy footsteps. The next is the plate speed animation is very, very, very slow. And you can only put in one plate at a time. Now, you can hold down your plate button and it'll keep cycling through them. But like in Warzone, there is a setting where you can set to apply one or apply all. And after you hit the plate setting in Warzone, it will apply all when you have that setting on. Not this one. You either have to hold the button through the first animation into the second one, or you have to press it twice. Not a huge deal, but something that would be fixable. And then plate speed, I put on cons here because it is so incredibly slow. And if this is like the Warzone competitor, it definitely needs to get sped up. But if we're thinking this in terms of other battle royales like Fortnite and Apex, then this shield speed / plate speed in this case is fine. But I think this is more of a Warzone competitor, so the plate speed does need to come up just a little bit. Speaking of plates, there is never enough around the map. There's never enough plates or ammo around the map. Now, some of that you can play strategically, right? Like support can hold 2 extra plates. You can hold 6. Supports can hold 8. And supports also have the ammo bag. So you can have supports carry a little extra, but just a few more plates and ammo would be nice. There's not really ground loot. There's box loot, and then there's some loot in the back of vehicles. And so there is not plates and ammo on the ground. There's some ammo scattered around on chairs and furniture and stuff. There needs to be plates as well. And then the final con is Bloom. I've talked about this in my Battlefield beta multiplayer review. In my multiplayer review, I know Bloom is part of the identity of Battlefield, but there is not Bloom across the other BRs, although I swear Fortnite had something like that, and I know Warzone did it one time. But there's not really Bloom across the other ones, and so if you're competing with the other ones, Bloom is not necessarily a great thing to have. Just because it makes it hard to really get to the top of your possible ceiling skill or skill ceiling, because Bloom removes some of that accuracy, right? So those are the cons. Moving on to so-sos. There's a second chance mechanic in here, and I think it can be a good mechanic, but you get 1 second chance so you die, you come back for free, and then otherwise your teammates have to bring you back, which we'll talk about in the pros. But it also ends at a time, so you have second chance. And once again, this is where no ring timing or ring info is negative, because I can't tell you exactly when second chance ends. It just pops up on your screen that it ends. But my issue with second chance is giving a second chance is kind of like you wanted to lean into resurgence a little bit, but because you only have that 1 second chance and it ends 5 or 10 minutes into the match, you don't really have a true second chance. So they didn't lean into it all the way. Like, they kind of put it in there and they kind of didn't. And then just for a true BR mode, I don't like the second chance. If you die, like the Gulag is your second chance in Warzone, but you could lose that, and then there is no second chance in Fortnite or Apex. Your teammates have to bring you back. So I either think you have to earn your second chance, or they should just remove it entirely, or just have the second chance last the whole match and make it kind of resurgency, or just make it resurgence, right? I think the way they did it is just not the best solution. I think you could do it differently or remove it. And then the other so-so is TTK. The TTK feels very inconsistent. Part of that is due to Bloom at long range. It really lengthens the TTK, and then depending on what gun you have up close, the TTK is instant, almost like multiplayer feeling. And so if you want the quicker TTK to be the identity of your game, kind of like Warzone, that Bloom is hurting it in the long range, and it needs to be a little bit longer up close. If you want, and up close still should probably be a little bit longer, maybe a bullet or two. And if you want that longer TTK like Apex, then you need to lengthen the TTK at close range, but having it feel super long at long range and incredibly quick at short range can be kind of jarring, and even then those ranges can feel very inconsistent, and a lot of that does depend what gun you have, but it can feel very inconsistent. So then moving on to the pros, in this game they kind of copied the contracts from Warzone. They have missions instead. The missions aren't super crazy, and there's Headhunter, which is the bounty mission, compared to Warzone, and it does not appear nearly enough. There needs to be more, but I like the missions, and the biggest pro over the Warzone contracts is you just open your map menu and the missions are on the side, and you can select a mission from there instead of having to go all the way pick up a contract. I like that you can just select missions from wherever you are on the map, and some of them are stealable, which I think adds a fun competitiveness to it. And helps you get into some engagements, but I just wish there was more headhunters. And then you have the prizes that can range anything from UAVs, airstrikes, rare loots, weapon upgrade kits, or sometimes a custom loadout drop. Which, speaking of the custom loadouts drop, that is the next pro. If you wanted to be a Warzone competitor, you needed loadouts. Now, there's two ways to access them. You can either access them through the contract rewards, like I said, or, as I mentioned when I talked about the ring timing and the information, during the match, public ones drop, and they are open to the public. Anyone can go hit them. You can hit them once, but anybody can go hit them at any time. So you will have to fight for them, or fight people that are also on the way to them, or fight people that are on the way when you're coming back from them. And it adds more combat in a game that sometimes it can feel a little bit lacking, which I probably should put in my cons or so-sos. Without the Headhunter contracts and having UAVs so limited, it is hard to find people at times. So if you're looking for like a Warzone experience, this is a slower experience. But if you're used to other BRs where there's more time between fights, this is more of that pace. But going for custom weapon drops adds more combat, which is also a good thing. The next I have the redeploy towers. So there's a few different redeploy mechanics across the BRs, right? And there is two similar ones in Fortnite and Apex where you go get their banner or their redeploy card, and you go to the battle bus or the respawn beacon, and you go activate it, and you stand by it, and, well, you got to hold down the activation for both of them. And so that's how you get back. Or Warzone, of course, there's the Gulag second chance, or you go buy back your teammates by having cash. Well, there's no cash. There is no money economy. There's no buy stations. So they took more of the Apex and Fortnite approach, but they put their own spin on it, where it's like a capturable objective, where you go activate the redeploy tower. Then you and your teammates, whoever's alive, have to stand on it. The more teammates on it, the faster it goes. But people can come contest it and cancel out your redeploy. So once again, it adds more combat because it makes a blaring sound that people can come push. I've pushed a bunch of people doing it. And it's like a competitive objective. And where it gets really intense and fun is when each one can only be used once in the match, so there is limited ones, so you will get combat, especially late in the game, where multiple different teams are trying to come respawn people, and then you can fight over it, you can contest it, and I think it's a really fun way to do the respawn mechanic. The next I have on here is airstrike markers. There is red smoke from when you paint your target, and on the map it shows the zone of operation. Warzone used to show the line for precision airstrikes, which it doesn't anymore. And it's something that people want back. And this shows you at least a radius of where you could get hit. And I like that, so you can have some awareness to it. And of course, you can see the red plume of smoke from when it's painted. So you can go push when you see that in the distance. Or, you can see that, so that's right center zone to help you identify the zone as well. The next is movement while plating. You can sprint, jump, bash doors, all well plating. This was something that's always been in Warzone, and then they gave us Warzone 2, which is what a lot of people are comparing this to, which I'll mention in my wrap-up. And you couldn't move while plating. You had to stand still. You have Apex, which you can move while healing, and you had Fortnite where you couldn't, and Fortnite started to add where you could at least slowly move through heals. At least last time I played, you could. And so it's something that BRs all do now. You know, it slows down movement speed in Apex and Fortnite, but in Warzone you can sprint and stuff. That's how it is in Battlefield, and I like that because it helps you with your outplayability in fights or surviving while you're getting shot at, and it's something that I think is good to have, is movement while plating. The next I put on here are graphics. I've talked about this in my campaign review and my multiplayer review and my beta review, which I'll link at least the full multiplayer and campaign review down below. But the map and the environment are just gorgeous. The map looks really good. I love looking at it. Of course, sometimes the looking out of windows, and I should put this in cons, the sun glare is still bad. They tweaked it a little bit, but it's still bad when you're looking out of a building. It's kind of blinding. But the graphics are gorgeous in this game. From all the details in the environment, to the character models, the gun models, the blood splatter on your guns and plates when you get into engagements and when you get shot at, all looks really good. The next I have is anti-vehicle crates. One of the core identities for Battlefield has been vehicles. Now, there is no fighter jets or attack planes or anything in the BR, but there is tanks, which you have to complete the missions, and then you get a vehicle card, then you have to go to the trailer, then you have to unlock it, which makes a lot of noise, and people can come push it and try to stop you from getting the tank, and then they can steal the tank. But tanks can be hard to deal with if you don't have the right equipment, especially if you don't have an engineer on your team. And late in game, so that way tanks don't just rule, or helicopters can't rule the end game. The game does spawn anti-vehicle crates, which you can also get from completing contracts and through some rare loot boxes that give you everything you need to destroy tanks. And like, tanks only take, I think it's like 3 rockets, but you can get C4 out of it, rockets, mines, etc. And they drop late game, so tanks don't rule the late game. And I think it's a good way to balance the existence of tanks and keep the tanks in there for that Battlefield identity. Then I have destruction on here, something I've talked about in campaign and multiplayer as well. But I want BRs with destruction. And yes, Fortnite, you can destroy stuff, you can shoot stuff, and you can chop it with your pickaxe. But you can't like make buildings crumble and kill people, which is an interesting mechanic. And it just makes every match more unique because different buildings and different parts of buildings will be destroyed differently in every match. And it adds strategy. Like if you know a team is camping in a wall or in a room, you can break down that wall and then attack them like that. You can just break down the whole house, and the house collapsing will kill them, and it adds a bunch of different ways to take on opponents in the game. And then finally, classes, something I also talk about in multiplayer and every game with class types. It's just good because it provides 2 things. 1, your own unique experience. You like to lean more into a role. There's 4 different roles to choose from. And 2, when you have a full squad, it adds more strategy, and you want to try to build a squad that each wants to play a different role. Now, of course, having the different roles can hurt you when you are solo queuing, duo queuing, or trio queuing in duos or quads, respectively, and you don't get a good team makeup. Although it feels like Assault feels the best to me. It's like Assault and Support are probably the 2 best. But it adds more of a expansive playstyle for more players, and I've always liked that in classes. So the cons were no circle or ring info available, not whether you open your map or on your normal HUD, which it should be. Enemy footsteps are almost non-existent. The plate speed is too slow, and there's no setting to apply all plates, which it still would do one after another, but then you only have to hit the button once. The lack of plates and ammo and loot in general is not good, and Bloom I just don't think belongs in Battle Royale. If you want to keep it in multiplayer, fine. I don't like it, but it's definitely not in Battle Royales. The so-sos are the second chance mechanic. They like have it but didn't commit to it, and it's just so-so. And the TTK is inconsistent. It's sometimes too long, especially because of the Bloom at long range, and sometimes way too fast up close, and it just needs some redoing. Lean into the fast TTK, get rid of Bloom. Lean into the longer TTK and extend the close range TTK just a bullet or 2. The pro is the missions. You can select them from the menu. They give good rewards. The custom loadout drops, or custom weapon drops, which help you compete with your biggest competitor, Warzone. The redeploy towers, especially the captural objective part, is great. The airstrike markers for more info to play better. The movement while plating to help you in fights or to cross open spaces when you're getting shot at. The graphics are beautiful and detailed. The map is a lot of fun. I think I skipped the map. I don't know why I skipped the map. The map is great. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of different elevation, but within the elevation there's dips so you can get cover and stuff. I think the map design is a lot of fun, and the POIs feel unique and different in each POI. The anti-vehicle crates to help tanks not just win every end game. The destruction is great. It makes every game feel a little bit different and helps you deal with people who like to camp. And then the class is, of course, creating a unique and strategic experience for you and your squad. So those are my cons, my so-sos, and my pros. The biggest competitor, obviously, to this is Warzone, and it does play slower than Warzone. If you were looking for just quick engagements all the time, bounty contracts, UAVs, constantly finding people, that you should probably stick with Warzone. But if you like more of a BR feel where you are looting, you can loot attachments for ground loot and upgrade your guns, then, and you like the bit slower pace, you will probably like Battlefield. Now, that's not to say Battlefield can't be played at a high pace. There's a few hot drops. There's the golf course. There's Defense Nexus, which is becoming really hot. And you can land hot, and you can get a lot of kills off rip. You can also do contracts that have PvP or missions that have where people can steal them, and you'll get contested on some of those. You can do the headhunters when they pop up, which they do need to pop up more. And just knowing how to rotate aggressively will help you find people. So you can play this at a faster pace. I mean, my high's 14 after 2 days. My highest in Warzone ever is like 22. So not a huge difference there. And I play about the same in both, just to give you kind of a comparison for pace. So this is more of a slower pace experience. But I think that that isn't a negative necessarily, unless you are just like kill in Warzone. Then it might be a little too slow paced for you. Although I've seen 28s. Shout out Schnorr Blungus, who needs way more followers and viewers on Twitch. He was tweeting his PR. Last time I saw it was like 28. So you can get higher kills in this game, of course. And there's only 100 people in the lobby. Is this a Warzone killer? No, I don't think so. But is this a good Warzone competitor, especially for the slower players? Absolutely. I think both will coexist. I think Warzone's downfall will be more from the staleness than this BR. But I do think this BR will pull some people from Warzone. I will be back on Warzone, but for now I'm really enjoying Battlefield, and I will play Warzone, especially for the homies that don't want to play RedSec. But like when I'm by myself, now Apex has competition for me personally between RedSec and Apex. Now that's a little more competition because I am actually enjoying solo queuing this, where I won't solo queue Warzone. So overall, I do think this is a lot of fun. I think it's a good mix-up on the Battle Royale scene. I think it's a good competitor to Warzone, where it had things like missions and custom loadouts that were competitive to Warzone, while having its own unique identity with the way you redeploy, the vehicles, the anti-vehicle crates, the different classes, and the destruction. So it's different enough from Warzone where they will coexist without really taking away from each other. And it gives you another option for more of the realistic military BRs that Apex and Fortnite can't give you. Overall, I'm having a blast. Of course, they need to add the circle info and some enemy footsteps, and maybe do something with the plates and put some more plates and ammo. I don't think the bloom's going away, so I won't give it a 10 out of 10. But I think if they fix most of my cons, right now I'm at about 8.5, 9. I'm at about 8.5, 9. If you get rid of, if you give some ring info and some enemy footsteps, maybe tweak the TTK, we're talking 9, 9.5 easily. The 10, as long as there's bloom, there will be no 10. And I don't do anything other than halves. So right now we're looking at 8.5, 9. Fix some of the issues. Change the TTK a little bit. We're talking 9, 9.5. Overall, I think this is an excellent experience, and in a stale BR space, I think this is a good, refreshing addition to the BR space. So I'm going to let the game finish behind me. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like this type of content, game reviews. We might start getting into RedSec content, Warzone content, or Apex content. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see it first. And let me know down below what you think of RedSec. Have you played it? Haven't you played it? Will you play it? Won't you? Have you played Warzone? Have you played RedSec and you want to leave Warzone for RedSec? Let me know all your RedSec thoughts down below. Do you hate that Battlefield is leaning into BR? Let me know everything down below. And down below, I also have linked, like I said, my reviews, but my Twitch, if you want to come hang out live. I mostly play Apex, now RedSec, and Warzone with Single Player Sunday and trying out lots of new games all the time. And I also have my Twitter, which is not very gaming focused, Instagram, TikTok, and car Instagram and TikTok down below, as well as my single player channel if that interests you. But thank you so much for watching. This was a long one, so if you watched all the way, I extra appreciate you, but I appreciate everybody that watches it all. And check out any of the links. Supporting me here, there, or anywhere is always appreciated, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day. Bye.
Being sniped at. Oh, it's a. Oh, someone just landed.
Confirmed. Strike inbound.
What is our? Oh, that's ours. Okay.
Yeah, as long as the person that called it in doesn't get hit by it, that's perfect.
No, don't tell me that right now that I have a low battery in my head earbuds. I'm getting shot, but I don't know from where.
Two squads. Make sure you come out on top.
Oh no. Oh no no no. Oh, he's so weak. No.
Last one standing. This is it.
No! No, I had such a good game, too!
No.
Oh, I had a huge game! I had 14.